Well, we seem to be in a very familiar situation, don't we? It's been almost 7 years since Dark Dawn came out, and if you remember, the gap between The Lost Age and Dark Dawn was 8 years. Golden Sun clearly isn't the most consistent franchise in Nintendo's giant box of IPs, but it's one with the passionate fanbase that sees potential for the series. Fans want to see this series grow, to evolve, to be taken as seriously as something, say, Fire Emblem, for example. Golden Sun can absolutely be the next big Nintendo franchise. Despite the fact that there doesn't seem to be much of a future for the series, fans are still holding on to hope that we get at least one more game. But what would I like to see come out of the franchise? Well, I'm going to start by pointing out something that I don't want to see, and that would be something like Golden Sun Jin Mini Golf or something, I don't know. I've seen this kind of stuff happen with Nintendo all too much recently, where they get an IP that hasn't had a game in a really long time, and they give us something that, frankly, we didn't really ask for, nor did we want. Take Chibi Robo, for example, and I think at this point you already know exactly what I'm talking about, but in case if you don't, I'm going to keep rambling on like an idiot. For us in America, the last game that played like the GameCube Chibi Robo game was the one on the GameCube. There was another game that played like Plague Into Adventure, but unfortunately it was a Japanese exclusive. Now, fans of the series didn't want Photo Finder, they didn't want Ziplash, fans just wanted a game that played like Plague Into Adventure, despite the fact that the fanbase wasn't ever very large to begin with. And sure, Ziplash on its own merits, it's fine, I guess, but it's not what people wanted. And to add salt to the wound, the folks at Skip said that if this game did not sell well, then we can kiss Chibi Robo goodbye for good. And needless to say, this game didn't sell well, and it's highly unlikely that we'll be getting anything Chibi Robo related in a very, very long time. Next, let's go back to when Metroid Prime Federation Force was announced last year. The last Metroid game prior to this announcement was Metroid Other M in 2010. Fans have been waiting 5 years for some sort of announcement of a core game, and what they got was an announcement of a spin-off that frankly didn't look promising then, and it still doesn't look any more promising now that the game is actually out. Now, unlike Chibi Robo, I'm sure we're going to be getting a core Metroid game fairly soon, if the ending of Federation Force is anything to go off of, but it doesn't change the fact that Metroid fans waited 5 years for a game, and this is the best that they got. A spin-off that nobody asked for, and frankly, nobody wanted. Lastly, let's look at Star Fox. The last Star Fox game before Star Fox Zero was Command in 2006, so fans were waiting 10 years for Star Fox to return. And when the series made a comeback, the game was polarizing due to its motion controls, and some felt as if it would step back, because instead of being its own thing, it was yet another reboot. It was another Star Fox 64. When fans wanted a new Chibi Robo, they got Ziplash. When fans wanted a new Metroid, they got Federation Force. When fans wanted a new Star Fox, they got Zero. Now, despite what you may think of these games, they're not what fans wanted, and the sales and the feedback clearly reflect that. I'm just worried that Camelot may fall into the same trap. Now, don't get me wrong, I understand the idea of putting out a smaller game to gauge interest in an unpopular IP. It's a good idea on paper, and it can work provided that the game looked promising, but it didn't work for Chibi Robo, it didn't work for Metroid, and I don't think it's going to work for Golden Sun if that were to happen. At the end of the day, I guess it would depend on what kind of game Camelot decided to make. If it was a spin-off in the style of Monster Hunter or something, I could see people getting behind that. And, you know, as weird as this sounds, I've always wanted to see a game in the style of Theatrhythm Curtain Call, where you have these little chibi versions of these characters going on a quest to save the world, and you use music to aid them on their quest. You know, I think that would work because there's a large cast of characters to pull from, and the music in Golden Sun is some damn good stuff if you could not already tell. Now, if they were to release a smaller game to gauge interest in Golden Sun, then, you know, fine, I can live with that, provided that we get some sort of announcement of a core game alongside it. This is why people hated Federation Force's announcement. They waited so long for a core game, and all they had was a spin-off and nothing else. If they made some sort of announcement that a new core Metroid game was in the works, even if it was just some guy standing in front of a camera saying, "Oh, by the way, we're working on the next Metroid game," people would have responded to Federation Force more positively. When you do this, you're giving your fans something to look forward to, a future in a time where it seemed as if there wasn't any. Another thing they should not do is the whole Chibi Robo deal, where they say, "Oh, well, if this game doesn't do well, then the whole IP is dead." That just guilts the people into buying your product, and that is wrong on so many levels. Oh, and I don't know if you caught this, but it doesn't work. So, at the end of the day, if Camelot were to announce a smaller game before a potential Golden Sun 4, I feel it would be the smartest move to formally announce that there is plans for a Golden Sun 4, just don't put all of your eggs in this one spin-off. Alright, so let's say they did this. What kind of game would I like it to be? I mean, there was that whole Theatrhythm idea. I mean, I would eat that shit up all day long, but let's think bigger. Maybe instead of giving us a spin-off, we can get a remake, maybe, of Golden Sun, where it combines the first 2 GBA games into one game, as in how it was supposed to be. It puts the first 2 games together, forming a juicy 40 to 60 hour long adventure, give each of the Jin their own design like in Dark Dawn, bring back the weapon skill system from that game, maybe add some new mechanics and flesh them out even further in Golden Sun 4, bring back Mitoy Sakuraba to do your music, and you got one hell of a remake, man! Now, I strongly doubt this is ever going to happen, but it's nice to dream, isn't it? Now, while it might not be the sequel that fans want, I do think it's something that fans will greatly appreciate. But what about the big one? What about Golden Sun 4? Honestly, there's not a whole lot I could say what I'd want them to change in terms of game mechanics. I mean, what they have is still perfectly fine, so I don't see the need to fix what isn't broken. They can certainly add things and bring back mechanics from Dark Dawn, like the weapon skill system that I previously brought up, but the big thing that I want out of a potential Golden Sun game is a good story with closure. There's a lot of loose ends in the Golden Sun games that I would like to see tied up. Let's get some more information about Sheba's story if we can. Let's see more characters from the GBA games. Let's find out who this High Emperor is. Let's find out more about these Morning Moons. Let's learn more about these Dark Adepts, more on them in a bit. And let me punch Alex in his stupid pretty face! I don't want this game to end on another cliffhanger. I just want a good story with likable characters that puts the story at the lighthouses, the heroes of Vale, the elemental stars, and all that kind of stuff to rest. Now, in terms of what they can add, I think it would be really cool if they added a new element or two in the game. Now, what I mean is that, we got our earth, wind, fire, and water, but what if they added something completely new? In Dark Dawn, we're told of these dark adepts, but what if there's light adepts as well? What if we can actually get dark and light adepts to join our party? That way, there'd be brand new elemental synergy to learn, more Jin to find and use, and more summons that would require the new Jin. I think by introducing 2 new elements, it can make the Golden Sun formula feel fresh. Sure, we can still have our basic earth, wind, fire, and water, but adding light and dark, or whatever it is they come up with, can make things more interesting. I think it would add just enough to make this potential new game stand out and have its own identity, as opposed to something like Dark Dawn, where it kind of felt as if it were like too much of the previous 2 games. Something minor that I think would be nice is if they did something new with the Jin. Firstly, I think they should all have their own design like in Dark Dawn. I've talked about that more times than I can count. But I think it would be really cute if they added some kind of feature that allowed you to interact with your Jin and make them stronger. The more you feed them or play with them, the more effective they are in battle. And, to be fair, it wouldn't be the first time that a game did this. Kingdom Hearts did it, Pokemon does it, hell, even Fire Emblem does it. Well, kind of. I think it could work really well in Golden Sun's favor. Also, can we please ditch the points of no return? Just give us a large world to explore, and if we miss something, just let us backtrack to wherever it is that we need to go to, and get whatever it is we need to get. And of course, that's my biggest gripe with Dark Dawn. It's everyone's biggest gripe with the game, is that if you miss something, and you cross a point of no return, well, there goes your 100% completion. Bye-bye. On that note, please just give us a way to fast travel, and I'll admit defeat. In my Lost Age video, I said that there wasn't a way to fast travel, and I was very surprised to find out that I was wrong. You can fast travel by using the teleport synergy that you get in the Mars Lighthouse, but that's the thing. You get the ability to fast travel at the very end of the game. So while it makes backtracking easier if you're trying to go after the super bosses or do some last minute cleanup, it doesn't negate all the backtracking that you had to do before you got that synergy. Just give us a way to fast travel to locations that we've already been to either around the beginning or around the halfway point of the game. Or give us an airship that can fly higher than the one they get in the Lost Age. Or both. I could do either or, honestly. But where would I like to see the series go from here? After Golden Sun 4, what next? And if I'm going to be completely honest, I just want one more game to justify Dark Dawn's cliffhanger and to tie up all the loose ends. Once that happens and we get a game with closure, I would be okay if the Golden Sun series stopped. If Camelot wanted to move on to other things, to make more IPs, or to make more Mario sports games, I'd be happy that we got at least one more game that tied up everything. Ideally, I would love for this series to continue, and if it were, I think it would be smart to go in a sort of Final Fantasy direction, where you don't need to play the previous games in order to understand what's going on, where each game is their own self-contained story with a satisfying beginning, middle, and end, where each game improves upon the Golden Sun formula and adds new things each and every time. Hell, maybe after Golden Sun 4, Camelot could start making more RPGs again and give us something completely new, or maybe even a spiritual successor to Golden Sun or Shining Force or something, I don't know. But this is where you come in. What would you like to see in a potential Golden Sun 4, and where would you like to see the series go in the future? Now, I don't normally ask this, but I would greatly appreciate if you help spread this video around. And I'm not doing it for the views, or for the subscribers, or for that sweet ad revenue, if you know what I mean. I just want to get a discussion rolling, especially now with Nintendo's next console on the horizon. It's the perfect time to start showing more interest in the series. Camelot said that if we want this series to continue, then there has to be demand for it. There have been a number of petitions for them to make a new Golden Sun game, and there is a strong demand to put Isaac in Super Smash Bros. This shows interest, but we need to do more. We need to let Camelot and Nintendo know that, to us, this series is far from dead. The future of this series is in our hands, so let's do something about it.